How often do you feel like it's never ending struggling to find the discipline and to stay on track, pursuing and trying to achieve your goals? Let's talk about two things that I try to emphasize. I try to work on every single time that every time I hit the wall and I feel like whichever goal I have in mind, it doesn't seem to be I just don't seem to be moving in that direction. It just doesn't seem to be working. The first one is your self language. I have to pay attention to my self language. Every time I go and teach, there is always something going on in my hand. There is always voices in my head. And one thing that I learned is that usually the first voice that I hear in my head, whether I'm just playing tennis, whether I'm working, teaching, whatever, and pretty much regardless what you're doing, is that first voice that we hear is usually a critical and negative, diminishing, discouraging, and destructive voice. That is usually the first response that we have to most of our activities. We rarely think when we fail at something. We rarely, if you think about it, we rarely hear like, "Okay, don't worry about it. It's okay. You're doing good. Just keep on pushing." It's usually the voice that says, "You know what? You're not doing well. You're not prepared. You didn't train enough. What makes you think that you're capable of achieving something like this? Since when?" So I have to pay attention to the way I talk to myself. And we have to understand that the way you talk to yourself, your self language, is always going to affect your drive. It's always going to have an impact on your motivation, on your determination, on your tenacity, on your desire to pursue the goal, on your willpower, on the way you look at yourself, the perception that you have of yourself, the perception that you have of the things happening around you, the perception that you have of the adversity of the other person, of the company, the school, the exam, whatever it is whatever it is that is in front of you, and is having an impact on you. The way you communicate with yourself is going to shape the size of your willpower, the size of your tenacity, and the size of your grit. The way you approach the adversity, the way you move towards that trouble. We are talking to ourselves the whole time. What I learned is that behind that critical voice that I always hear, the very first voice that I hear is usually going to be the critical one. And I learned not to pay attention to that and think, okay, that is just your frontal or prefrontal cortex talking to you, trying to be protective, trying to keep you from being in a situation where you're going to be unfamiliar and you're not going to be comfortable. But that is just the urgency, that is just the emergency voice that says, run, 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 get out of here. You have to let it come and let it go. And then you start listening to the voice that is talking about your purpose, about your pursuing, about your why, and about your desire to achieve that goal. But there is two voices, and the first voice is always going to be the logical voice of your brain, and you have to let it go. And then once it's gone, you start now we're starting to talk about the voice of the purpose of the part of me that wants that. Okay. The second thing is that your purpose over resistance, meaning what you want, the goal, your why, that is have to be bigger than the mood in the moment when you have to take action. Um, that means that we have to learn to transcend our mind's justification for inaction. Because many times we're going to feel like, I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like doing homework. I don't feel like preparing that project. Whatever it is that we know that we're supposed to be doing, we just don't feel like. The truth is that there are not many times when we feel in the perfect state of mind to work towards the goal that we have. It's usually a lot of things going on in our heads and our brain trying to protect us, putting a lot of excuses not to do the things that we know we're supposed to be doing. And we have to understand that your mind is going to grab anything on the external and internal world and turn it into a stimuli to discourage you and tell you, trying to discourage you and telling you that you're not good enough, that you're not prepared, that you don't belong in that group of people that can succeed, that you will never achieve it, that you should be happy with what you have and where you are. And again, that is just a part of the brain that is trying to protect you because it doesn't like anything that is risky and unfamiliar. But we have to that's when we have to have very present in our minds the purpose, which is your why. Why am I trying this? Why am I putting all this effort trying to achieve this thing? Why do I want this? How is my life going to change if I achieve this? And how is my life not going to change if I don't? You have to have in mind that you're not going to be ready to take action most of the time, but you have to learn that whatever you want to achieve, the reason why you want to achieve that has to be bigger. So when that boy is trying to justify all the and create all excuses in your mind in order to do nothing, you're gonna able to listen to it, let it go, and then you hear to that second voice that says, okay, now we're on. Now we're on the right path. And now this is the voice of purpose. This is the voice of why. This is the voice of growth. This is a voice of getting better. This is the voice of let's that says let's do it. Okay. I hope you like it. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time, guys. Thank you.